welcome back to the Haunted Heart with your hosts. I'm not done.
Oh, well, fuck you, bitch. I'm over here sweating. Jesus, God.
It's hot as fuck.
We are having a spell. I'm sorry, that was off-brand.
No,
Satan,
no.
God. No, It is so
a curse.
warm. We can't run this AC because if we do, then you all won't be able to hear our beautiful voices. Instead, you will hear shh.
Right.
You can refer to episode 2 of this podcast for that. Wasn't it episode 2 that we
It was probably several episodes, I feel like.
We were nice and cool, though. We weren't hot
No.
and sweating and nasty like we are now.
I'm going to tell you what.
And ill.
A few days ago, it was beautiful. It was nice.
It truly was.
I stepped
First
outside.
day of Virgo season, and that weather corrected, honey.
Uh-huh.
She snapped right into tune.
But also, like Virgo, she's fucking a bipolar son
Can't
of a
make
bitch.
up her.
And
God
can't
bless
make
him,
up her mind.
just like me.
So Satan has decided to sit his ass crack.
Upon the earth, yea, verily.
Yes.
Yea,
and produce
verily, Satan hath come and placed his taint upon us.
and
the time of
produce a heat
2018.
wave so oppressive that I just can't even. White girl can't even.
For real.
Seriously.
Apologies to everybody who is not in Virginia or D.C. or Southern Maryland right now and is not experiencing what we are experiencing. But, girl, I'm telling you what. It's hate.
This what?
It is hate. It's hate out.
It's hate.
It's hate.
It really is. I went. I went to the Spirit Halloween today.
Ooh.
Spooky, ooky. No, seriously, props to like Spirit Halloween this year. They really fucking killed it with their in-store displays.
Yeah, they bringing it, which is good because last year I felt like it was a lot of recycled material.
Yeah. Last year it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the most inspired.
Although their Hocus Pocus collection last year was really cool.
It's actually grown.
Is it really?
It's grown. Their in-store collection has grown. So has their Nightmare Before Christmas. And yes, their front of store display is their front of store display this year is a little underwhelming, but their back of store display is on another level that I haven't seen this from Spirit like ever. So
You know what? I respect that though, because that's a little bit like me. You know, I keep it looking like shit on the outside, and then you get in deep, and that's when you realize that it's that good for you.
Yeah.
But you gotta be interested in this meager and middling outside.
Yeah.
So it's good.
If you don't love me at my tacky, horrible, like disgusting front side, you don't deserve my.
It's just a test.
Also, kind of tacky, like
My even tackier, but kind of awesome.
back calf.
It's like delving into my psychology.
It really is.
I'm always testing. And when you think that I'm done testing, I'm just throwing a bigger test at you. When you think I'm done testing you, you at the SAT, and you don't even know it, boy. You sitting down at that SAT table. I'm so hot, it hurts to move.
It really does. It doesn't help that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I'm so
5 candles
fucking warm.
and burn some sage.
I'm just gonna...
And we're about to. Okay, and now she's naked, folks.
I'm not naked. I'm just shirtless. I'm wearing tight. I'm wearing 3 articles of clothing.
She's got a nude fishnet on.
Yes, I do. And I'm just too lazy to take that off.
She's got a nude fishnet, a bra, and her eyeglasses.
It's
Draw
fine.
me like one of your French girls.
It's fine. I feel a lot better, though.
I'm going to tell you what, and we're about to get 2 more candles lit up in here today.
Oh, my God. Bring this heat.
Bring it, because we have 2 new patrons that we need to invoke today.
We do. I'm very excited.
Yes.
Even though it's hot, I love it. This is that delicious heat. I can feel you. So we have to say thank you first to Melissa B. But girl, I've been calling you. Oh, I just massively smacked my mic. No, I've been calling you Missy since forever. So, Missy.
Yes, and
Go and light a candle.
Yep. Okay.
Let her have her moment, Kenneth.
We're lighting our dressed candles that have been infused with the intention of goodwill and health and prosperity.
And then the second is for
Holly B. Yay!
Good vibes only.
Yes, your candles will be burning with us forever in our hearts, but at least through this episode.
Yes. True. I kind of like that lighter noise when we make it, because it's like the
ASMR.
lighter noise from, I think of like Lil Wayne circa 2009.
Oh, God. Okay.
You remember at the beginning of every song that he did, he would do the lighter thing? He would flick that lighter.
I remember you and I
It was a lot.
driving down the road listening to Lil Wayne and T.I. and
Fuck yes. T.I.
just being
Terrence Inglewood. That's not
bad
his name,
as
by
fuck.
the way. Just being very Caucasian.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So what are we talking about this week? Is it time to talk about our friends? I love talking about our friends.
We are talking about more friends. We've talked about we've talked about our patron friends.
And he's like, let me list all our friends. Silence.
Let me list all of our friends. No, we've talked about our patron friends, so now we need to talk about our little shop of horror friends.
We should. I feel like we're not being inclusive, and I don't want to be salesy, but if you would like a candle lit for you, and you would like for us to invoke you, and you want to be part of our Patreon family, then you can hop over to patreon.com/thehauntedheart, and when you sign up, we will induct you on the podcast.
Yes, we will.
I feel like for new people who just tuned in, they're probably like, what the fuck am I listening to?
And there's more
this a
perks
podcast
and
about
stuff
lighting candles?
that way too. Yeah, there are more perks. So definitely head on over there to check it out. But yes, let's get into our little shops of horror, because I am excited. We are featuring one of our dear friends. Mm-hmm. One of our OG supporters.
Haunted Heart gang.
Yes. And I'll let you, since I talked about the patrons, I'll let you do the introduction.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
You can do the introduction. Keep you on your toes today.
Well, shit. So we are talking about our favorite Frou Frou and Feathers today, run by our sweet friend, Christy. You may have seen her if you're a member of the Facebook group, then I'm sure you've interacted with Christy. She's on there all the time.
Yes.
She is an incredible seamstress. She is all the time, like, cooking up some kind of beautiful costume. She's done, like, some Grecian pieces. She does a lot of, like, Halloween costume stuff. I feel weird because we opened the episode talking about Spirit of Halloween, even though Kenny and I both like to make our costumes more so than buy them. We love Spirit, but we like to kind of create things ourselves and also patronize artists who are making things themselves year-round, because it's just better quality.
Oh, yeah.
I never I'm not knocking the outfit in a bag, because sometimes you're short on time, girl, but, like, if you can, supporting artists who, work year-round to make Halloween awesome is a good idea. So, and Christy is one of those people.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out and say it. I never buy my costumes at Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
I literally go there for the experience, for the visuals, and I may buy a few things.
Yeah.
I may buy, a few things, accessories, but rarely there for the costumes. I'm not there for the costumes.
Yeah, no.
And again, no shade to anybody who does, but
I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I'm just saying that if it's possible for you to, because that shit is expensive that they sell in the stores.
it's very expensive, and
it's not well made. Like, you would
Right.
do much better off, like, finding somebody like Frou Frou and Feathers.
Right, like, if I'm going to spend that money, I'm going to spend it, like, making sure that it's quality, and just having followed the work from Christy at Frou Frou and Feathers, hands down, that's where I would go. I mean, she's got really cool like suit jackets that she hand paints.
Bitch, don't talk about that too much. I'm trying to keep it on the low.
Oh.
I got a little something in the works.
But I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of hand painted things too.
Yeah.
And really
all
cool
of it,
things.
every single piece she makes by hand, and so it's got those unique touches that you only get with something that is made like by order for you.
And if you want a shirt covered in blood, you can go to her directly because
absolutely.
Yeah. Did we
Short
went over
on
this?
time.
Is it splatter or spatters? Does she blood spatter? Or splatters?
I think it's a spatter. I'm gonna go with spatter. I think you made up the word splatter during our crossover with APC.
Yeah. Wow. There we go.
If you need a bloody shirt and you don't have time to murder a homeless person on your way to work, she's where you go.
Just also don't. Please.
Also, don't murder.
Please
anyone.
don't. I don't need that.
Particularly homeless people. They got enough problems. So
yeah.
I'm just saying, don't murder.
So you can find her on Etsy if you search Frou Frou and Feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing on Instagram. Frou Frou is spelled F-R-U.
Mm-hmm.
And she also is being very gracious and offering a special discount code for our Facebook group members. So if you would be interested, head on over to our Facebook group and you will be able to get access to that code. It will be 20% off any orders $50 or more on existing stock. So head on over to our Facebook group, check it out.
Yes.
Get you some her because Halloween season is quickly approaching and you need to get you a costume ready.
Yes, you do. You don't want to be not ready. That's when we come for you.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yes. So, time for Podlight.
Yes.
So, this week's Podlight is a podcast. They're a newer podcast that I am really excited about. I personally enjoy them, called Killer Jobs. And it's hosted by Chris. And what Chris does is research the day jobs of the serial killers that you have probably heard a billion different podcast episodes on. So the Ed Geins of the world, the Ted Bundys of the world. They even have an episode on Jerry Brudos, who is one of my favorite serial killers. If you watched the show Mindhunter, then you probably know who he is. But prior to that, he was known in the true crime community, but he wasn't super crazy widely known. But Jerry Brudos is one of my, if one can have a favorite serial killer, he would probably be one of mine. It's very weird.
I feel like one can.
Yeah, we can. So this podcast is really cool. It kind of looks at things from a different sort of angle. It's a little on the shorter side. So if you're the type of person who's, I consume all kinds of podcasts, but if you like shorter episodes, Chris has you covered. And it's kind of an interesting angle to look at your favorite serial killers from, because I have listened to a shitload of true crime, and this was like fresh and exciting and cool. So good work, Chris. Everybody go check him out. Podcast is called Killer Jobs. It's available, I'm assuming, everywhere that you listen to podcasts, but I definitely know that it's on Apple Podcasts because that's where I'd be listening. And he is also on Twitter at Killer Jobs. I think it might be Killer Jobs Podcast, but Twitter won't load right now, so
okay.
Just find him.
Yeah.
It's 2018. Y'all know.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all found this podcast. Go find that one.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, Twitter.
There's my pitch.
Yeah. I think that leads into our segue, or that is our segue.
Oh.
A lead into our segue, kind of.
You know what other app I don't know how the fuck it works is Tinder.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Here's the thing. I met the love of my life before dating apps really became a huge thing.
Yeah.
So when I see all of these youngins around here doing their swiping,
yeah,
and they're grinding.
Is left right? Is left good and right is bad?
I literally have no fucking clue.
I think left is bad and right is good.
You've got your Tinders.
I've literally never used it.
They're grinding out here.
One time I had a Plenty of Fish profile for like a day.
I think I remember that.
It was really funny. I mean, it was literally like a day. because I was like, oh, this will be really funny. And then like I got a bunch of dick pics and I was like, well, bye. Bye. Also, I just don't really feel like I translate to 2D very well. Like I feel like I'm a 3D experience, you know? Like,
and there's a quote for us.
It's just not there's a lot to squeeze into 2D for me, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about it. Don't do it. Never have. It's just weird to me. It's foreign. I don't get it.
I don't think you should call it weird because, like, I think that's how people
I said it's
meet
weird
people
to
now.
me.
Yeah, but I think that's how you meet people now. Like, I mean,
Well,
I
I
don't
just
too
see
much
all
because
of
I
these
don't
people-
fucking know. I just don't. I don't think. Oh, here's the thing. I don't think it's fair for me to be on something like Tinder or like anything like that because I am so fucking weird. Like, if you see me in a photo, you think, oh, look at this presentable, nice young lady who looks a little quirky.
Really?
Or whatever. I don't know.
It depends
I have
on
no
the
fucking
picture.
idea.
It depends on the picture.
That's fair. There's a wide variety. No, but
You can find some on our Instagram.
no. I just feel like you get like one impression from like looking at a photo of me, and then you meet me, and I'm absolutely fucking insane from Jump Street. And it's like, I feel like that's a bait and switch. Like, I feel like you got to meet me out at the grocery store in the middle of a fucking psychotic breakdown in the produce aisle and think, hey, that girl's cute. Like, that's the only chance that we have of making it work.
Yeah.
Is like, if you see how crazy I am and then you are still interested, that's how you got to vet them.
Yeah.
And I can't do that successfully online, so...
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, and not always, but it turns into this like hookup culture that I don't know. I've just never been. I'm not that. No shade to all you whores out there.
And in here.
And in here, but that's just never been something. That's just not me.
I feel you.
So I just have never gravitated towards that. So
yeah, I feel you.
It's just weird, like when I'm at work and I see all of these people and they're talking about their grinders and they've got their Tinders and they're like, oh, well, I met this person and, you know, we went out on this date. And I'm just sitting there like, uh-huh.
Yeah, like I have no frame of reference. Yeah,
I'm like,
the same
okay.
way.
Okay.
I actually thought about getting Tinder just so I could have a frame of reference for when people talk about it, but I just have no interest.
Let me tell you a funny story. Okay. One time at work, there was I got a job application, or someone had submitted their job application to me, and
Please tell me they didn't have their Tinder username on their
they
job
didn't.
resume.
So
Like
their
their
resume was
application.
nothing but a picture of themselves sitting in a chair.
Just a photo.
Just a
of
photo.
them.
That was their resume. Just a photo of them. And then one of the other assistant managers came up to me a day later and was like, Kenny, this person hit me up on Grindr. And I think it was the same person who submitted the application, because in both the photo on Grindr and on the application, the person was wearing the same hoodie. The face was cropped out on the Grindr because apparently that's a thing.
Oh,
Like you
is
don't
it?
do face pictures
Oh, I
on
can't have
Grindr.
that because I need to know what your face looks like.
Right.
Because if it's fucked up, then I can't have that.
Well, it's the gay world, so we're really only looking for anything from the neck down. So I guess that's what we're advertising here, people. I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know
so
about that.
I showed the picture.
It
Like he
doesn't
showed
seem
me
accurate.
the picture. Yeah, right. He showed me the picture, and damn if it was not the same person. So the same person that had hit me up for a job also hit my assistant manager up on Grindr. Just saying.
Do we think that he saw the assistant manager first and then applied for the job, or that he applied for the job, saw the assistant manager, and was like, "Let me get this"?
I don't know. No clue.
Or that he's just so effective at blanketing. You know, they say that if you're looking for a job, you need to blanket the area with your resume. Stay on the top of your recruiter's mind,
Yeah.
including hitting them up on dating apps. So if you haven't figured it out,
We're talking dating apps today. We're talking dating app crimes and everything.
basically just dating app crimes.
And everything that
That's it.
happens, that has happened in dating app crimes.
All of
because
it. Every
All of the
single
above.
one. Buckle the fuck in.
Yes. So
We got that good Patreon money now, so we upped our storage content. This podcast's going to be 4 hours long.
shit. So, according to figures from 30 police forces across England and Wales, the number of reported crimes where dating apps like Tinder or Grindr are mentioned have risen more than 7-fold in the last 2 years. Yes. So, we all know, like, growing up, and here's the weird part, because... And it's also what makes it weird for me. Growing up, we were always told, you know, don't listen to strangers. Don't take candy from strangers. Don't do anything involving strangers.
Don't talk to strangers.
And now
don't
we
see
literally,
strangers.
like, summon strangers via Uber to take us to wherever we want to go.
We call strangers to get in their car specifically.
Right. And we invite them into our homes randomly for hookups via these dating apps.
Yeah,
and
by the way, I'm not gonna no shade to anybody, but I'm gonna actively say that if you meet somebody on Tinder, you should go out and meet them somewhere.
In a
You know what I
public
mean?
place.
They shouldn't pick you up. You shouldn't invite them back to your house. You shouldn't go to their house. You need to meet them out somewhere.
And you need to let someone know where you are and where you're going and what this person looks like. Get a description and you tell somebody, because you never know. People are crazy nowadays, as we are about to get into.
Honey, I even snapshot my fucking Uber driver's information and send it out to like you and mom and whoever.
That's
like,
smart.
I don't fuck with that.
No. That's smart. That is definitely smart.
And even though Uber actually has a lot of really good features, like you can track somebody as they're in their Uber riding around, which is actually a very smart feature.
Yeah. So Tinder arrived on the dating scene in 2012, and since then, various apps have followed in its wake. So prior to this, people obviously used sites like OkCupid and Plenty of Fish, like you mentioned.
Girl, the free.
But online dating was certainly less prolific than it is now.
Yeah.
So there's been speculation about how safe dating apps are. And everybody has an urban myth type, you know, friend of a friend who got catfish story, right?
We actually covered one of those
We
stories.
did. But up until now, nobody had looked into this properly. So, thanks to a Freedom of Information request filed by the Press Association to local police forces, there are now some figures available. And these figures suggest that a rise in some crimes can be linked to dating apps. And according to the 30 police forces who responded to this FOI, the number of reported crimes where dating apps are mentioned have risen more than 7-fold in the past 2 years, which is an increase of 650%.
And that was in the UK specifically.
Yeah, this was just like a study done in the UK specifically. So these reported crimes included rape, violent assault, grooming. I'm not sure. What does that mean? Do you know what that means? Grooming? Because it's right there with attempted murder. It's grooming and attempted murder.
The only grooming that I'm aware of is like grooming someone to be a victim of sexual assault.
Maybe.
But I don't think that's like a long term.
That reminds me of, like,
That's
how
not
they
a
used to-
short-term date thing.
But that reminds me of like...
Oh, maybe it's groping.
No, it's specifically grooming.
No, but maybe that's like British slang for groping. You know what I mean? Like petting is like heavy making out. Remember how
That's what I was
people
getting
used
ready to
call it
say. Yeah, they
petting,
used to say
right?
no heavy petting.
Maybe grooming is like groping someone without their permission.
Perhaps.
UK listeners, let us know. Hit
Right.
us up at the Haunted Heart Podcast on Instagram, at the Haunted Heart on Twitter. We want to know what grooming means. Mm-hmm. Maybe message us if it's real nasty.
Messages if you're nasty.
No, no. This is about crime.
As we're talking about how
This
we
is
don't
not
get
about
involved with
consent.
strangers. So, yes, 55 reports of crimes mentioned Grindr or Tinder in 2013, jumping to 412 in 1 year by October of 2015. That's insane. So these figures show there were 135 crime reports in which Grindr was mentioned, and Tinder was mentioned in 277 reports of crimes in 2015. And these are from where just Tinder and Grindr have been mentioned, like in the specifics of the crime. So it can vary. It's not necessarily always like what they, like, I don't know how you would use Tinder to kill someone, but it's always been like a part of whatever crime. Like either they met them or they were harassing them, through the app.
Yeah.
You know, it has many layers. So,
like an onion.
Yeah.
Like an onion has many layers.
Yeah.
Or a baklava.
I love a good baklava.
Sweet, sticky, nutty baklava.
Yeah. So, obviously, police are just telling people to make sure that we are all using caution when doing these dating apps. Like we said, as they continue to grow, because I'm 100% sure that, like, they're not going away.
Yeah.
And it will only grow, so.
No, and I think it's cool. Like, I think the good side of it is that, you know, before we delve into the fucking worst of the worst, the good side of it is that, like, you get to meet people who maybe you wouldn't have come into contact with otherwise.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I do think that people are kind of, like, reaching across more boundaries than maybe they were in our parents' generation or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
Which I think is totally cool.
Yeah.
However, some real nasty shit can go down.
It
which
really
is. What we're here to
and
talk
especially
to you about.
like I'm gonna get into a little bit in this grinder scene. I don't have a grinder, never have had one, don't ever want one. I'm good, but I do know, like it's some nasty shit can go down on that app, and. Yeah, I have one case in particular, actually. And it's actually kind of a cannibal case. So this is my redemption episode for my fucking cannibal case that got cut out by the fucking Audacity machine. Who had the audacity
your cannibal
to
story.
fucking mutilate my story. This is my...
It's kind of poetic, though.
Redemption. So... my case involves Stefano Brizzi. I'm just going to say Stefano, the cannibal cop killer.
I knew that you were going to do that one.
Yes. So, Stefano was born on June 26th, 1966, in the small Italian town of San Marcello in Tuscany. He was the youngest of 3 children, and his father was a civil servant, and his mother worked in child health care, and his family were, like, devout Catholics. He first realized that he was gay when he was around 15 years old, and friends are quoted as saying this was something Stefano really struggled with given his family's strict religious beliefs. And he was described as being a very tormented boy who never really found peace within himself. Mm-hmm. And these were different times. I mean, even if you take out the religious equation, coming out as a gay man was something very defiant and dangerous in those days.
Yeah.
So
he's a lot older than I thought he was, actually. You said he was born in 1966?
1966, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
He's older than I thought he was.
Yeah. So he eventually moved to Florence, where he took up...
Florence,
yes. Where he took up computer programming. But once he hit his 40s, he was diagnosed with HIV and hepatitis C. Now, we all know in the 80s when this disease was running rampant throughout the community and we didn't know much about it, that it was kind of a death sentence for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that stigma even happens today, even given the advances in medicine, with things like PrEP and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And even though there were medicines available to him that kept him healthy, it really began to sort of affect his mental state a little bit. So despite all that, he began working as a senior web developer for Stanley Morgan in London, like making some fucking bank.
Okay.
Yeah, like making pretty good money.
Mm.
So
he was clearly bilingual too.
Yeah. So, but we know that it's kind of like a perfect storm, right? For a lot of people, because if you're already dealing with issues and then you factor in something like a semi-disposable income, you can really create a toxic lifestyle there.
Yeah. There's the potential for a lot of vice.
Vices, yes.
Just like my mama said, idle hands do the devil's work, honey.
They do. They do.
You got to stay busy and po.
And sometimes idle hands make a podcast.
Absolutely. Staying busy and po.
Right. So, unfortunately, that happened, and after moving to London, he started mixing himself in with drugs, specifically GHB, ketamine, and eventually that good old crystal meth.
Oh, Oh, now I was gonna figure him for a cocaine guy.
Nah, he was in that crystal.
But he went the West Virginia route.
He was into that crystal meth. And after less than 3 years with Stanley Morgan, he was asked to leave in 2015.
Well, fucking of course, because you can't be like working at a nice investment banking firm in London, which is like a big, huge financial hub, and be on fucking crystal meth.
No,
like,
not at all.
They might let you do coke, but on that meth, no. Shit, they probably have fucking coke in the bathrooms, just like when you go to a nice ass place and they have that like nice like salt to exfoliate your hands after you wash your hands.
A personal,
but it's just a fucking dish of cocaine.
A person there just offers you like a sample size of cocaine
for you with the like razor blade. Oh my god. No, but you can't be on meth and be working somewhere classy.
No,
and that ain't no shade to nobody
who's doing meth. What?
No, I'm saying. Well, I feel like I called out West Virginia, and I know that there's somebody like in West Virginia listening to the podcast, and they're like, "Fuck you." But here's the thing.
No.
We come from a fucking place of meth. Like we come from that area, so we are you.
Yeah.
And we're sorry.
No, West Virginia has a lot of problems. There's a lot of issues there, which we can discuss never on this on this podcast.
It's cool. I mean, it's just the opioid crisis that everybody's ignoring and pretending doesn't exist because it serves the one specific party in this country.
Right, and so I'm going forward. I'm going forward a little bit. So we have Stefano, who is heavily into drugs and obviously not in a healthy state of mind. He did try to get some help for a moment.
For a moment.
But nothing worked really for him.
So is he unemployed at this point?
Yes, he's unemployed.
Okay, so when he lost the job at Morgan Stanley, he just didn't get another one. He was like, let me just...
Yeah, this is the spiral.
Okay.
So, a few months after he left his job, Stefano created a posting on 2 gay dating apps, one of which is, of course, Grindr. The other was on a gay fetish app called Recon. No clue what that is.
Recon. I don't know what it is.
I'm not trying to...
okay.
I'm not going there.
Okay. I'll go there. I'm unafraid.
So he posted under the username DomSE1 that he was, quote, free now for a hot, dirty, sleazy session.
Free of this fucking job and future.
Free now for a hot, dirty, sleazy session. That's like the meth head equivalent of a Little Caesars hot and ready pizza.
Girl, absolutely. That...
So,
oh my.
Yeah. So he got a response from a gentleman by the name of Gordon Simple, who was actually, surprise, surprise, a police chief.
Huh.
And he was about 59 years old. He saw the profile and had started messaging Stefano back and forth on Grindr. Now, Gordon had a partner of 25 years, but they were in an open relationship. So he met Stefano at his home one evening where they continued to attempt to invite other guys over for a group chemsex party.
What is that?
Chemsex.
Is it slang that I should know, but I don't?
You should know.
Okay, all right.
No, it's a gay thing. It's one of those dark gay things that you just don't go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about that. I was prepared to know more about this than I do.
No, the gay world can be really...
so we're leaning really heavily into like the depths of the gay world instead of the
this is like the dark web of the gay world.
The dark web of the gay world. All right, got you.
Just go in there.
I got you.
So now, chemsex is a term used mostly in the gay community to describe hooking up with someone while administering drugs such as meth to increase your sexual pleasure.
Okay, yeah.
And it's not just meth. Like it can be any number of chemical drugs, hence chemsex.
Oh, so it's chem like chemical, not chem like Kim Kardashian.
No.
I'm sorry.
It's chemical.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
see, whatever happened to just good old fashioned just fetish. You know what I mean? Like, just punch me in the face a little bit. Like, what the fuck happened to that?
It became too vanilla.
But that's not, you just gotta, I don't know.
No, this is like an addict's thing. Like, this evolved from, like, addiction and into, like, a thing, and unfortunately has a following. So while waiting for someone to respond to the ad, they began to engage in sexual intercourse. Mm-hmm. Now, the next day, Gordon's partner filed a missing persons after several failed attempts to contact him. 7 days later, Stefano's neighbors filed a complaint because there was a smell of death coming from his apartment. So the police came to investigate. When the police arrived at his apartment that Thursday, they were met by the overpowering smell of cleaning chemicals mixed with rotting flesh.
That's a rough one.
Yeah. They found Stefano.
And I bet they said, no, this guy's probably innocent.
No, I don't think so. Given the description, they found Stefano in his underwear.
Okay.
Surrounded by trash bags. It kind of sounds like us, but then it goes off the deep end.
Right. Like, I'm feeling like it's like right before recording.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're doing that thing where we're like procrastinating.
Mm-hmm.
In various states of undress.
Yeah. So he was surrounded by trash bags containing chunks of flesh, a pelvis bone, a hand, and part of a spine. Yeah. His bathtub was full of a blue-green liquid with globules of fat floating in it. This turned out to be caustic soda and spirit of salt containing hydrofluoric acid, although he had failed to dissolve the body as he had been unable to heat the chemicals to the required 300 degrees. Nasty. Stefano later claimed that Gordon had passed away due to a sexual act gone wrong and had attempted to dispose of the body via the hydrofluoric acid. He had also attempted to grate the victim's flesh from his bones before eating some with chopsticks. Gordon's DNA was found on the chopsticks, in the oven, on a chopping board, and inside a cooking pot.
Well, I mean, he was open. He was really open with the cops.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there was also a bite mark on one of his ribs. And I think
like
later...
The bone?
I'm guessing like probably bone and flesh, a mixture of both, and there was a bite mark on it.
So was Stefano, was he like high when the police got there, or was he? Like,
I'm gonna say
were we in sober land?
I don't think he was sober. He later claimed that he that there was no cannibalism involved, but like maybe there were bite marks on his ribs and his DNA in your oven and crock pot, like. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
He told the officers that Satan had told him to kill Simple.
Yeah.
He elaborated, I spoke to Satan, and he was telling me to kill, 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 and I agreed at the first opportunity.
Okay, here's the thing. I feel like that type of bullshit right there, I feel like Satan's not trying to tell you to kill anybody. You know what Satan's going to tell you? To get yours.
He's going to tell you to live deliciously.
And not fucking wait around for anybody to give you yours. He's just going to tell you to get yours.
True. All right, so this next part is a little graphic, and I'm going to talk about it.
Next part.
No.
We've already gotten into like the crock pot in the oven and like blue caustic chemicals with globules of fat, but here's where it gets nasty.
No, this gets very sexual. So like this has got some.
It's gonna make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it might make you uncomfortable. So just forewarning you now, but I'm going to get into it.
If you get a hard on while you're listening to this, you might be murdered.
It won't be your proudest fat. All right. So this is these are all quotes coming from him when he was from Stefano when he was talking to the police about the incident. So he says, and I quote, "We were obviously two men who were mature, old, in our own fields, professionally successful. We were no savages." He broke down in tears as he told the court that Simple had, quote, begged to be tied up, put on a dog collar, and choked so he was breathless during sex.
Okay.
I was trying to please his desires. Unfortunately, that's how the whole thing had gone wrong, he said. He really begged for it. He wanted it. I suppose he was doing his best to please me. He was kissing my boots and my leather chaps. I interpreted this as willing on his part to become a more active submissive, to start the game of submissive and dominant. At that point, there was some verbal exchange between us. He was calling me daddy, boss, and sir. I called him puppy and obedient dog, and when I used the word dog, he looked at me and asked, "Could I please be called that, sir?" Stefano said that Simple voluntarily put on a mask and asked to wear a collar and leash like a dog. He agreed to be tied to the bed and was walked around the room like a dog, but Stefano said he also asked to be choked so that he was struggling to breathe. And Stefano said that that was the very first time I had done it. I wasn't into that kind of thing, but I knew you weren't into this kind of thing.
Okay, no. This is a website specifically made for people who are into that type of thing.
I recall you saying you were ready for a hot, sleazy session.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not buying it.
But I knew.
But you can keep going.
I knew this kind of thing. People were doing it, he said.
Yeah, people. Mm-hmm.
Stefano said, as the game went on, it became increasingly unfamiliar to him and dangerous, but Simple appeared to be enjoying it. He said they agreed a safe word, which was the word red, if the bondage became too much for Simple, but Stefano tearfully told the jury he never said red. So, the twist in this case is...
I'm sorry, are we saying that he choked him to death?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that he never said red. But
he
here's
never
the
said
thing.
their safe word.
You pass out before you die, and then if people leave you the fuck alone, you go ahead and wake up.
Right.
Certainly not advocating that, but I'm just saying that, like, if there's a conscious partner there and you accidentally go a little bit too far and lose it for a second, just go get him a glass of water. He'll come right back. Like,
just say, oh, fuck, hold on.
It's fine.
Yeah. So the twist is, Gordon wasn't the only person to respond to the ad. A man who would later be identified in court only as CD.
Is he a fucking truck driver?
CD.
Yeah, it's CD here. I'm rolling out of compound.
Breaker 1, 2.
I got the package, if you will, the load, if you'd like me to come on and unload it.
Breaker is CD. I got a load to drop. Yeah.
Oh, my.
So he found himself lost on his way there while looking for a chemsex party he had been invited to by someone named Domination London, which was Gordon's screen name on the gay fetish app Recon. Right, Domination London. So eventually, CD found the right door and rang the buzzer. There was no answer, so he rang it again and again. Eventually, a man's voice answered. It said, "Hello, sorry, we are having kind of a situation here." CD didn't know what the voice meant by a situation, so he asked what was going on. The voice explained that somebody was feeling ill, but said not to worry because they were taking care of it. CD asked if there was anything he could do to help, and the voice said no, everything was under control, but that the party was canceled. The voice, CD would later testify, sounded concerned, a little bit upset. He did not sound too worried, though. As he walked away, CD thought to himself that perhaps somebody was throwing up or sick on the carpet or something. The voice on the other end of the intercom belonged to Stefano. He later told police why he hadn't let CD in. Now, remember, they had invited, like, several people to come in. CD was the only person that, like, responded back.
Okay.
So they'd invited a few men to join his party, he explained, but they didn't arrive. And when one did arrive, I was right in the middle of strangling Gordon. So Stefano was also captured on CCTV buying the equipment needed to dismember Gordon a few days after the murder, including a rather large bucket that he was seen placing over his own head to make sure that an actual human head could fit in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's some dumb shit I would do, though, probably.
Fucking. Come on, dude.
He continued to plead innocence to murder.
You might as well walk up to the fucking store clerk and be like, "You think I could put a body in that?"
Right.
What? I don't know why I'm making him like really southern.
I don't know
Is it
either.
just because he does meth?
not.
Like, what?
Maybe.
He's Italian.
Right. So he continued to plead innocence to murder, but guilty of obstructing a coroner, but was convicted of both crimes and sentenced to life imprisonment. And that didn't last long because he later committed suicide only a few short months into his sentence, leaving behind a suicide note that read, "I die in peace." So that is the case of Stefano Brizzi.
Gordon didn't die in peace.
No, not at all.
It's just not. I hate stuff like that because it makes like it casts a bad light on the entire like fetish community.
Yeah.
And that's not at all what that community is about. That community is founded on and like held together by consent. Like it is all about consent. And if you like in that community, if you break rules about that, then you get a reputation and people don't mess with you.
Right. I just think it's sort of like a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like it's the drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a deviation from it, and which could happen at like it just so happens that they happen to be into this particular fetish with the influence of drugs, but I mean the same thing could happen with any other number of fetishes. You know what I mean? It just varies. It's just the common denominator is the drug itself. And Gordon himself actually was not clean either. He was a drug user as well. So allegedly, from what I read.
Well, I mean, I think the whole like the
chemsex thing.
Yeah, like that probably.
Yeah.
Means that everybody is,
So.
That's so
That's
sad,
my murder
though.
case. Oh.
Okay, tone. So I too am doing a. I'm not on the Grindr scene. I'm on the Tinder scene.
Okay.
So I am presenting the case of Francia Ruth Ibarra Ramirez.
Oh, you said that a lot better than I probably could have.
I probably didn't say it right. Forgive me, there are some Spanish names in this story. I may not pronounce them right. I'm going to do my very best, and if I fuck them up, please tell me how to say it correctly so that I can learn. So this is the case of Francia Ramirez. We are in León. In central Mexico.
León.
And if you didn't take high school Spanish and have to watch the movie every year, The Lion King in Spanish is El Rey León.
El Rey León.
Yeah, that was good.
I've always been able to roll my R's.
Gold star for you. You know what? That's a life skill for you.
Shut up.
Yeah. So we are in León, or León, in Mexico. Francia is 26 years old. She is a student at the University of Guanajuato.
Okay.
On December 3rd, 2016, Ramirez didn't show up to meet one of her friends at the movies. And when her friends attempted to call her, her cell phone was turned off and went straight to voicemail. And that raised alarm in them. So they started freaking out. Nobody could find her. And so her friends and the police poured over her social media pages. And I think it was actually her friends who first found out that she was actually dating someone.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this came as a surprise to the friends. Earlier in 2016, apparently Ramirez had met Emmanuel Delany Valdez Bocanegra through Tinder. He was also 26 years old, and he was an ex-medical student at the same university.
Okay.
So the pair met through Tinder, started dating. But Ramirez never introduced him to her friends and family, so none of them knew he even existed. Although apparently they had been dating for some matter of weeks or months or however long.
Yeah.
So in December, the friends obviously told the police about Boca Negra, and he obviously was a suspect pretty quickly, and the police closed in on him relatively fast. So on December 15th, 2016, during a police search of Boca Negra's apartment, gruesome remains of human bones were found in trash bags on his apartment balcony.
What's with the trash bags?
Canisters of caustic soda and hydrochloric acid were found beside these bags.
Hydrochloric acid?
Yeah, yes. 6 kilos of human flesh were retrieved from the bones in the bags, and they were matched with Ramirez's DNA. Her clothes were later found hidden in a bag inside the apartment. He, at that point, had already fled, and they arrested him almost 5 hours away in Mexico City several days later. So they got his ass.
Ooh, they got him. Okay.
So it's been reported by many sources that, and there's not a whole lot out there on this story. Mm-hmm. I wanted to cover this story because I feel like this is the type of story that we don't really hear about much in the true crime community because it's perpetrated by somebody who is a member of a different ethnicity, and the victim is a member of a minority. And, it happened in Mexico, so some very loud people, some very loud, prominent people, like to brush off these people and our neighbors to the south and pretend like it doesn't matter.
Subtle, Katie, subtle.
And, build lots of barriers and walls. No. But in all seriousness, these are the kind of minority crimes that we should be paying attention to. These are the groups of people that, I even hate using the word minority because it is accurate, but it implies some sort of weird difference between us, and we're all just people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yet the stories that we hear about are always the stories where, the pretty white girl goes missing, or, this creepy, it's the same profile of the serial killer, Jerry Brudos, Ted Bundy, these
there's
fucking whacked out white guys who go nuts and, murder a bunch of people. And that's not, it's not... Serial killing or gruesome murder is not a white people thing. That's an all people thing. And that's why I know I'm on a soapbox and I'll get off in a second, but that's why I love shows like It's About Damn Crime, because they highlight specifically minority cases that you have never heard of.
Right. Well, and I think that's what's important about it. Yes, I get that, crime in itself is bad. It's always bad no matter what, but it's also important to make sure that everybody is getting the equal amount of coverage, because, if it's all bad, then it all needs to be covered and highlighted equally. Right. And I feel like it's not, so...
Yeah, well, yeah. It's just people don't care. You know what I mean? Right. If that had happened here, it would have been all fucking over the place. Just like that Grindr case. I don't know the specifics of that case, but that case was blasted out everywhere.
Yeah.
And we just didn't hear shit about this, and this just happened.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's not a whole lot of information out there. The Daily Star was my main source, but there were there's a bunch of other sources that kind of copied the same information, so it was clear that it was one Associated Press release of information, and then everybody just kind of copied over and reworded and plagiarized each other. I love when I see cases like that, because it's just okay, so there was 5 facts in this case, and every single website has published an article and just rearranged the way that the facts are presented.
Kind of like us here at the Haunted Heart Podcast.
Literally us. So,
coming soon, the Haunted Heart News Network.
So it's not really super well known why he did that, why the crime was committed, but it was alleged by several sources that Bocanegra allegedly killed Ramirez because she refused to have sex with him.
That just...
Yeah. And that ties
That's
into...
so fucking... Like, I don't understand. How can you take a life in general, but, like, over something...
So stupid.
So fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why... Yeah. I'm not getting on my soapbox right now.
Well, it ties into a wider concept, and we might not get that deep into this today, but it does tie into the wider concept of machismo in Latin American culture. Mm-hmm. And this is the dating app crime episode. It's not the machismo episode, but I would be remiss to mention this crime. How do you like that word?
Remiss.
Spinning you out a $10 word.
Remiss.
But I would be remiss to talk about this case and not mention machismo because it clearly plays such a huge part if, in fact, he did murder her because she refused to have sex with him. So machismo is a very widespread concept in Mexican society. There's an idealized concept of it in some Latin American circles, and the machista is defined as a strong or exaggerated sense of traditional masculinity, placing great value on physical courage, virility, domination of women, and aggressiveness. And so that sort of type of masculinity, which is very toxic, is sort of blasted out through telenovelas and movies, behaviors in the workplace, behaviors within families, and especially in romantic relationships. That sort of machismo attitude has been celebrated and rewarded in a lot of circles. So obviously, like we have seen in this case, machismo has been linked to femicide. The Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean estimates that 12 women are murdered every single day in Latin America and the Caribbean for the sole fact that they're women. That's 12 a day. And Mexico...
12 a day.
12 a day. And Mexico is one of the worst offenders. According to Ana Güemes from the United Nations Women Group, femicides are a pandemic in Mexico. The Council of Hemispheric Affairs alleges that of the almost 50,000 women killed, only 2,500 resulted in convictions. During some certain period of time, it wasn't really clear in the article what the period of time was. But you're looking at a section, because when they usually do these studies, they section off a couple years. We're looking at 50,000 women killed. Only 2,500 of those women's murderers actually went to jail and were convicted.
That's insane. That's like... That's just something, like, I can't even fathom.
Well, let me give
right
it to
now.
you a different way. Those figures mean that Mexican femicide cases have an impunity rate near 95%. So 95% of Mexican women that are murdered, their killers get off.
Which only leads further into, that cycle. Because they know that they're not going to get in fucking trouble for it.
Yep. Recently, there have been efforts to put an end to the more dangerous elements of the machismo culture and to talk about how harmful it is and, what it's doing to the culture at large. So there are, and maybe we'll post some resources for, if you're interested in that, how you can read further about that, because it is really fascinating. And it is really inspiring, the work that, people are doing to, it sounds crazy, but to just convince people that women deserve to exist.
That's so ridiculous to me, because if you even think about, like, these men who commit these crimes, they have mothers, they have sisters,
Right.
they even have daughters, like... But yet you take the life of someone else's daughter, someone else's mother, someone's sister. Like, I don't understand how you as a human being could ever justify that.
But even beyond that, I mean, and that's a completely valid thought, especially in, Latin American culture where family is such a big deal.
Right.
But even beyond that, like, even if we aren't mothers or sisters or daughters or whatever, or wives, just as women, as living human beings, we have value beyond all that, beyond a title of a mom or a sister or any of that. Like, we deserve to exist because we are living, breathing human beings.
Well, yeah, of course.
So fuck off and stop murdering people because you have to support your fragile masculinity.
Fragile, toxic, all of the above.
Yeah. No. Not about it. But,
yeah, I mean, I get that, but I was just trying to... I mean, you know what I'm saying. Trying to make that emotional, like valid. That emotional connection.
Yes. Yeah. Because you speak on that because that's like you come from a very emotional center place.
So I look at things like that. Right. So that's why, like, for me and my personal filter, like in examining these, is like, how could you ever do that? Like,
right.
Because if someone, like, God forbid anything like that happened to anyone, that, like, I can't do it. Like, I just can't fathom that. Yeah. And how, like, you would ever be able to justify that.
Yeah. So,
I mean, and the same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's just I could go on and on about that.
But that is the story, the very sad story of Francia Ruth Ibarra Ramirez, and our hearts go out to her family and her friends, and everyone who knew her, and
we've got a candle here dedicated for you, babe.
26 years old. That's insane.
I think that just goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. Because like you said, because her friends did not, like, nobody really knew that she was with this guy.
She hadn't really told.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like,
she was just keeping it private. And I totally respect that because that's me, 100.
It's completely valid. And especially if this is someone that you have, like, it is not just a random person that you were just... It was like a one-time thing. Mm-hmm. This was somebody that you were seeing.
Yeah. There needs to be one person.
Yeah.
Who you can just, give the information to.
Yeah.
Even if you lie and say it's a girl, whatever, so that you don't bring attention to yourself. Just make sure they have all the information that they need to have.
Right.
They can't get
Or you don't even have to tell them, like, hey, you know what? And that's what makes it so hard, because, like, if this is someone that you've been with, like, you kind of trust them, so you don't feel a need to, like, every time you visit this person to say, like, oh, I'm going there.
Which was the other compelling thing about this case, because, it wasn't like... And I don't know what his intentions were with meeting her on Tinder, and I don't know how long they dated, but it definitely seemed like it was a sort of semi-established relationship. It was not like their first date on Tinder. This is, like, after we had kind of gotten into it.
Right.
But people can still, obviously, it's not like there's a first date hump with, oh God, that was a terrible word to use. It's not like there's a first date hump with Tinder, except maybe sometimes there is. Girl, get yours. But it's not like if the first date goes okay and he doesn't seem like a crazy psycho on the first date, then it's fine. Or she, because girls can be just as crazy too. There's a ton of cases with women on this same topic, being the aggressors. But, just staying vigilant and making sure until you really, really, really know somebody that you don't really drop your guard and that you let people know where you are.
And even if you, and like I said, even if you want to keep it private, just let somebody know, like, hey, where you're going to be. Like, you don't necessarily have to be like, if you want to keep it private, like, you don't have to be like, hey, I'm hanging out with this guy that, I'm kind of seeing, but, like, don't really know where it's going. So why would I, like, bring him fully into my life type thing? But you can at least be, hey, I'm going out with someone.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there needs to be at least one person. And if you don't have that person in your life, you need to befriend that person and get real close to them, make sure they're not a murderer, and then, like, give them that information. Like, if you don't have that friend, you need that friend.
There should be a hotline for that.
There should be.
A friend hotline, like, where if you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody.
Like, who's actually in your life, who has to, like, be around you all the time.
Yeah, just to send out like a hotline where you can call somebody, give them your information, whatever you choose, and let them know where you're going or who you're going to be with. And then, like, if you don't respond within, like, a certain, you know what I mean? Like a check back in, sort of, then, you know, it gets escalated. Something of that nature. That just popped into my head. It just seemed like
we should do that.
Interesting idea.
We should do that.
That's
for
what
all
the
our
haunted,
listeners. There you go.
That's what the haunted heart turns into.
The haunted heart be watching you, girl.
The haunted heart is watching.
Is watching
That's
you.
our new Patreon.
And that boy beside you.
We watching that boy or girl. We watching them. We got our eyes on them.
That boy or that girl or that 9B. Let's be inclusive.
Anybody. We
Whoever.
watching that person.
We just watching all of yins.
We're watching all of you. When you sleep.
All the time.
Looking at you through your window. No, I'm not.
No.
I don't have the time or patience. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, it is way too hot out here for that bullshit.
No.
Don't have the time.
We watching you in spirit.
So
yeah, that is our dating app crimes. There's a ton of them, and we just picked 2 to look at today. But it's quite fascinating. This strange method of communicating.
Yeah, I still, I think that the theme of today's episode is to just always be vigilant. Just make sure that, like, if you're meeting somebody, that you're being safe. Like, have fun, please. Like, nobody here is saying, like, don't have fun. Like, I'm all for you doing you, getting your business done how you see fit. But just please be safe and be smart. That's all I ask. Be smart.
Yeah. Darn, I was looking for, oh, here it is. So I know I already mentioned them once. It's about damn crime. But because they cover minority cases. But one of the hosts on there, she is currently, like, getting back into online dating, and it's fucking hilarious.
Oh,
on
I've
their
read
Instagram
some of
feed.
that. I have read.
She will screenshot some of the messages that she gets, and, like, one of the ones that she got, like, a couple of days ago, this guy sent her good morning, and then literally, like, 2 hours later, he messaged her and said you, like the letter U, which is one of my pet peeves. I cannot fucking stand it.
Yeah.
Why do you not have time to type YOU? Why must it be just the letter U? You ever have the number 2 at once? No question mark, no period, no punctuation.
You ever have the number 2 at once?
You ever have 2 at once?
You ever have 2 at once?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Kenny.
You ever have 2? Oh.
Kenny.
No. I was thinking about the bathroom number 2. I was thinking about, like, was he asking if she ever had a number 1 and number 2 at the same time?
No.
And I was going to be like, yes. I was about to raise my hand. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
No, it was great.
No, honey, that's a whole other fetish that we're not getting into.
No, it was beautiful, but yes, it's truly a strange world, and my very limited contact with it, basically just through that, literally just through Justine from that podcast. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
So just, be safe, everybody. You do you.
Yeah.
And just let somebody know where the fuck you are.
Or, you know what? You could always just play whoever you're with an episode of this podcast and let them know that we're watching them.
We are. Just tell them.
And that's all. No, that's not all you'll need. But, like, just saying. But just saying. I'm pretty sure if you're listening to us, then you're something. I'm sorry. Something's wrong.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Something's wrong.
And with that,
and they'll scare the fuck out of you.
If you want to get more Haunted Heart in your life, we already mentioned the Facebook group. You got to join the Facebook group. It is an awesome discussion. It's an awesome group. Super awesome family.
If you want some spooky memes coming up, like,
fucking absolutely,
hit up that Facebook group, because I'm going to tell you what, I'm about to go in. It is almost September 1st, honey, and I have got the memes for you.
I've got the memes
I've got
for you.
Do you got any more of them memes? It's that Dave Chappelle skit. You got any more of them spooky memes?
I'm not gonna let you meme over an audio medium. Anyway, join the Facebook group. Search the Haunted Heart Podcast on Facebook. You can find our group. It is a closed group. If you request to join, we will approve you, and we will be very excited. We will welcome you into the group with open arms.
We will swipe left, swipe right. No,
Swipe
I think
right.
it's swipe right.
Right. I think
we
right
will,
is good.
We will swipe right on you.
Yes, we will. You can also find us on Instagram.
We'll swipe left. No.
We will swipe left. No, whatever yes is what we will do. You can find us on Instagram at The Haunted Heart Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at The Haunted Heart. We post all different stuff on all 3 of our social medias. So make sure that you are following all 3 to get the maximum amount of information from us.
Yes.
We also have a Patreon, which we mentioned at the top of the episode, patreon.com/The Haunted Heart. There are all kinds of tiers that you can join. You can become part of our Patreon family for just as little as like $1 a month. So
for $1 a month, you could support this starving piece of shit.
Yeah, for fucking sure. No, but seriously, if you do appreciate what we do, it does take a lot of time and effort, and I have sweat out probably like 20% of my fucking body weight during this episode alone.
You haven't, because you're a woman. I have, though.
Just want to take a moment to just
You
remind
sat
everybody that I sat here naked through the awkward, like, fetish crime. And if you think that we deserve something for that, then let me know.
You're a woman, honey. You sat here and you gained a pound.
Probably
You know that's
so.
how it works.
Probably so. From the fucking candle wax. Anyway, we love you.
Yes, we do.
We have enjoyed spending this time with you, and we will see you next week. And until then, you know what you need to do. You need to
stay spooky.